Okay, we are officially at 8:30 p.m. Real quick. My name is Ron. I'm an alcoholic. As you already know, we've been sanctioned into this room temporarily while they're doing the renovations to our main room. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. Once it's done, it's a little disruptive, so just be mindful of that. What else we got? Just, if you can just remember to tell people, come through the front door only. There is no back door. They got it sealed off. They're doing all kind of construction and stuff like that there. So anyway, that's that. For the people that are on YouTube, especially Jason. Jason does all our, Jason S. out of New Jersey, works tirelessly to post all these. He's actually in Cabo for 3 weeks on vacation, so we're a little behind the posting. So if you follow that on YouTube, be patient, and when it's up there, thank him, take a chance. Let's thank him anyway, because he'll hear this for free. Yeah, through his work, it's reached over 500,000 views, so it's pretty powerful. This message gets carried around the world. And that's what we hope that everybody gets this and gets an opportunity to recover like others, right? Anyway, we got the world's greatest female chairperson all the way from Southern Canada. Let's give her a warm welcome, Kara.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Kara, and I'm an alcoholic. Hello. This is a 1-hour speaker meeting that meets every Saturday evening at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, 301 North Main Street, Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Food and fellowship starts at 8 p.m. and speaker at 8:30 p.m. The business meeting for this group meets every Saturday at 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. right here. Please come early and join us. The purpose of this group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God, reliance, and service to others through the practice and teachings of the 12 steps. We record our speakers so that others may benefit from their message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. The group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. Is there anyone new or from out of town that would like to introduce themselves with their first name?
Teddy, this is my first meeting here.
Welcome, Teddy.
Amanda, this is my first time here.
Awesome, Amanda. Welcome.
Norman, I'm an alcoholic.
Woo! Hi, Norman. Welcome.
Hi everybody, my name's Laura, I'm a recovered alcoholic, first time at this meeting, visiting from Lyme.
Hi, Laura.
Welcome, Laura. Welcome. Oh.
Mary Ann, alcoholic, Long Island.
Oh. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Oh, right.
Renee, alcoholic, first time here.
Welcome, Renee. Thanks, y'all, for coming out in this weather. We really appreciate it. The Conscious Contact Speaker Group encourages sponsorship. Would anyone with working knowledge of the 12 steps and is willing to sponsor, please raise your hands. Beautiful. Are there any announcements for the good of AA?
What? Oh. My name's Nick, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Nick.
There's a workshop in Delaware. I have the flyer. It's a 2-night workshop. The 6th annual March Through the Steps. So it's a pretty powerful event. It's a nice time to go out for the weekend. Be all about recovery. If you want information, come see me after the meeting. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
Jason?
Monday night,
Oh,
6
yeah.
p.m. right here out in the lobby. I'll be speaking on Step 2, so come on down and join us.
Awesome, Jason.
My name's Ron. I'm an alcoholic. Every Sunday night, this group has a commitment at a treatment center. If anybody is interested, we're always looking for speakers. The only requirement is that you have a pulse and have some willingness to share your experience. See me after the meeting.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Our sister group is a Big Book study meeting that meets every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. just up the street at Salem UCC Church, 186 East Court Street, Doylestown. Coffee is on at 6:15. We have meeting lists and big books on easy terms. Please see me or any home group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a big book, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group will give you one at no charge. Anyone willing to make donations for the purpose of the big books to help those who cannot afford them can put donations in the jar on the table marked Big Book and CD donations. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown, Pennsylvania, and our Facebook group. Subscribe and share. You can find our speakers there. Join our Facebook page to keep informed, and you can share upcoming events and meetings. Now, I'd like to invite a good friend of Conscious Contact Speaker Group. I would like to give Jason a warm welcome. He's going to come up and read our Just for Today prayer. Oh, Daryl. Oops, sorry, Daryl. He's going to come up and read Just for Today prayer of recovery. Let's give him a warm welcome. Woo!
Cut you out.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Daryl. I'm an alcoholic. I'm reading Just for Today prayer. Just for Today prayer of recovery. Just for today, I will be agreeable. I will look as well as I can, dress becomingly, talk low, act courteously, criticize not one bit, not find fault with anything, and not try to improve or regulate anybody except myself. And who's coming up here to read the preamble? Bradley.
Hi, Bradley. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Bradley.
Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, and does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Thank you. 12 steps, right, Jason? Who? Nick?
Okay.
Nick.
All right.
Everybody.
Thanks, Coach. Okay, my name's Nick. I'm an alcoholic. And these are the 12 steps of recovery. Step 1, we admitted we are powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. Step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all of these defects of character. Step 7, humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. Step 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9, make direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10, we continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Step 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. And step 12, and having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. And welcome home, by the way, and let's bring Kara back up here to introduce our speaker.
The 7th tradition states, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. At this time, I would like to pass the basket. We have no dues or fees, but we have expenses. This group provides many services. Your donations cover food, rent, big book CDs, events, and workshops, etc. There is absolutely no smoking on church property. Please take a moment to silence all cell phones and limit movement during the meeting to avoid distractions. Now, I'd like to introduce the speaker as a good friend of the Conscious Contact Speaker Group. Let's give Laura, she came all the way from New York, a warm welcome! Woo!
Hi, everybody. My name is Laura, and I'm a recovered alcoholic. Welcome. And I'm grateful to be here. I'm a little nervous. I asked God to speak through me, so I hope soon that God will kick in. So when I speak, I really don't talk much about a drunk log. I will tell you that I am a real alcoholic in 3 minutes or less, but I'll tell you what I did to recover from alcoholism and what I do on a daily basis to stay spiritually fit. And I introduce myself as a recovered alcoholic because I no longer suffer from alcoholism. And I feel like that's so important because there's a solution, right? Where are the shades? We don't have shades? I'm not in Long Island. Okay. I'm not in Kansas anymore. No. There's a solution, and we don't have to suffer, right? We were powerless. I am no longer powerless. I no longer suffer from the obsession of the mind. The allergy of the body doesn't matter if I don't pick up that drink, right? And it tells us that, therefore, the main problem of the alcoholic centers in the mind rather than in the body. But like I said, I will tell you that I'm a real alcoholic. So when I came to AA, I used to say that I was I only drank alcoholically for 5 minutes because I felt like for most of my drinking career, I drank, I always drank for the effect. But I didn't, my life was kind of manageable, right? I didn't lose a job, I still had a house and motorcycle and vacations, and I still had all those things. I really didn't have too many consequences. But for me, the worst part of it, I was tortured with the obsession. Tortured. And in the doctor's opinion, it says that we were drinking to overcome a craving beyond our mental control. And I so get that. And when I first came in, I would think like, well, you have no idea how bad the obsession was. Like, ego, right? And terminally unique, right? Like my obsession was so much worse than everyone else's. Well, that's why you're all here, right? So, but I was tortured with the obsession. And I really didn't want to drink, but I was so tortured that the only thing that would shut that obsession down was picking up a drink. And I would get up in the morning, I knew my life was headed for trouble. I knew it was getting dark, my life was getting darker and darker, my thoughts were turning darker and darker. And, I would wake up in the morning and I'd be like, okay, please don't drink, please don't drink, please don't drink. And I had no choice. I had no choice. And I began drinking, red wine out of a coffee mug. Because, drinking out of a wine glass in the morning would be a little weird, right? But a mug that's what you do in the morning. And I remember I had this mirror in front of my, by my door. I had all my keys and stuff. And I would look in the mirror and be like, how is this happening? I know where this goes. Like, I lost my brother to this disease. Like, I know where this goes. And I know I'm in trouble. And I know it's only going to get worse. But I couldn't stop. And one day I made a phone call to this woman who I knew was in AA. And I just wanted to talk to her. And I said, I called her and I said, I think I need help. I can't stop drinking. 20 minutes later, she's at my house. I'm like, those movies where like they kidnap people, they put a hood over them, they shove them in the trunk, and I'm the hood, the trunk, and all of a sudden I'm in an AA meeting. Before that, she was dumping all my alcohol down my drain. I was like, wait a minute, I just called you to talk to you. I'm not going to stop drinking. I didn't come here to, that wasn't the plan. That was just like to talk. That was February 5th, 2005, and I haven't had a drink since. So I want to say that relapse is not a requirement, right? As long, in Alcoholics Anonymous, there's always a hook. Right? It tells you can have this great, terrific life, cook. You have to be fearless and thorough. So I come to AA, and I do all the things you beautiful people tell me to do. I come to the meeting, I come early, I stay late, I go to the diner, I make coffee, I was a greeter. I did everything that you told me to do. And I still hated you. I still hated my mother. You're smiling. I hate you even more. I still hated my boss. I hated happy people. And you know, you would think if someone's really happy, you would say, like, what do you do to stay happy, right? But I was so sick in the head, I couldn't even admit that I wanted what you had. So I said I did everything that you people told me to do, except for one thing. And that one thing was to go through the steps. So I used to go to the step meeting on Wednesday nights, and my sponsor would say to me when we were leaving, when are you going to do step 4? When are you going to do step 4? I'm like, I don't know. You're 30 years sober. I got 2 minutes. You tell me, when am I supposed to do step 4? So we made a plan, and I got on my motorcycle, and I went to the beach, and I was like, ooh, and I basically threw up on this piece of paper, and I wrote all this stuff, and I felt awful, and I went to her house the next night, and we had dinner, and she asked me a couple of questions, and said, okay, let's go. We got to go to the Wednesday night step meeting. And she asked me what was the worst thing I ever did. I told her, no regrets. I still regret it a little. And that was steps 4 and 5. And I felt awful. And I had been going, this is sliding, I had been going to a big book meeting, and there were 2 women there. And after that, it was Thursday morning. That Wednesday night, I said, I'm going to go to that big book meeting, and I'm going to, whoever is there was a woman named Mary Ann and Sue, and whoever's there, I'm going to ask them for help. And Sue was there, and I said, you know, after the meeting, I said, can you talk for a few minutes? And she said, sure, honey, sit down. And I started to cry, and I said, you know, I need help. And she said, where are you in your step work? I said, I don't know, I think I did step 4. And she said, did you write a resentment list? I said, what? Did you write a fears list? What? Did you do a sex inventory? I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And she said, good, now we know why you feel the way you feel. Come to my house Monday morning, and I'm going to read the big book to you. And I was a little bit like, I heard about those people, and I was kind of told to, like, stay away. They're a little nuts. And I am definitely one of those people today. So she opened her home, she opened her heart, and she told me and taught me and showed me what an alcoholic actually means, that I have an obsession of the mind and an allergy of the body. But if I never pick up that drink, the allergy doesn't even matter. That's why I said before, therefore, the main problem of the alcoholic centers in the mind rather than in the body. So I had a spiritual awakening as a result of the steps. And in plain language, I just don't think the same. And I'm a literal person, so I'll give you an example. Okay, so step 4. My spiritual awakening happened in my 5th step in my sponsor's living room. So my resentment, my mother, shocker, right? Well, who do I resent? My mother. Very easy. Why? The cause. What did she do? Second column, very easy. She did blah, 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 blah. Third column, what does it affect? My self-esteem, my pocketbook, my security, my whole entire life. And then she asked me, are you willing to look at this from an entirely different angle? And everybody, from what I have heard in my almost 1 years of sobriety, is they call that what's my part. What's my part, what's my part, what's my part? The program never asks us what our part is. It asks me where I am to blame. And I'm a huge stickler for this because I am I'm the captain of the victim team. My 4th step, it was like how your behavior was affecting my life. How my sister's behavior, my mother's behavior, my boss's behavior, my fill in the blank, how your behavior was affecting my life. And she asked me, and I would say to her, she doesn't talk like this, but I always imitate her this way. I would say, like, you know, my mother, blah, blah, blah. And she'd say, oh, you should be so grateful because your mother, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you're not hearing me, lady. This is what my mother did. And she'd say, oh, you should be so grateful because your mother. I'm like, you're still not hearing me. Another thing. You should be so grateful because your mother. I'm like, what are you not understanding? And I make a joke that maybe she hypnotized me. Maybe there was hypnosis involved because somehow I began to see how selfish and self-centered I was. And one of my resentments, one year I told my mother, and my mother just passed away, so I feel like she can hear me now, I'm sorry. that I wasn't I went to her house, I said, I'm not, you should make your own plans for Mother's Day. Hand on my hip, self-righteous, because you weren't a good mother, you didn't protect me, and I'm gonna go on vacation for Mother's Day, so good luck with that. You imagine how hurtful? So this is how I still had that resentment when I walked into my mother's house. And when I walked out, and again, I was incapable of looking at my behavior, where I was selfish, where I was dishonest, everywhere. And when I left that woman's house, I said, I will make direct amends to my mother, and I will make my mother's life better for the rest of my mother's life. And I did that every day for 19 years. And me and my mother had a wonderful relationship. I actually enjoyed spending time with her. We used to have Mommy and Me Mondays, 50 years old, Mommy and Me Mondays. And I was her caretaker. She passed away. I have no regrets. So, when I tell you that I hated this woman and I walked out, I just thought I was this, this nice girl that grew up in an alcoholic home and, went to Al-Anon because my mother and my father and my brother and my sister had, I was so selfish, but I had no idea. So I had this, I walked in, Bill describes it as ideas, emotions, and attitudes which were once the guiding force of the lives of these men are suddenly cast to one side, and a completely new set of concepts and motives begin to dominate them. My spiritual principle was, what's in it for me? That was my spiritual principle. Now my principle is, I get up and who can I help? No matter where I'm going, whether I'm going to the grocery store, the bank, a meeting, I go to a meeting for two reasons: spread a message of hope and find a newcomer to work with. That's why I go to a meeting. So I have this amazing experience, and I never knew you could actually feel peaceful and happy and be excited to get out of bed. And I thought that wasn't really real, right? You drink to try to get that. But I was really, truly peaceful and happy, and I had no idea that this was possible. So I'm doing big book studies at my house. I'm taking people through the steps, and I'm like one of those lunatic, watch out for those crazy big book people, definitely me. Oh my God, I had no idea. And I'm like, how come people in Alcoholics Anonymous aren't talking about this? That's the craziest thing. That to me, why aren't people reading the big book? What's happening? I couldn't understand. So life is amazing. I have this 3-week motorcycle trip vacation planned, and I'm on my brand new Street Glide, riding up to Lake George, and I get hit by a car. Hence the no legs. Are you kidding me? Really? I was like, really, God? Really? Really? This is what happens? I come to AA, I'm helping people, I'm doing good things, and this is what happens? Are you kidding me? And everyone's like, well, Laura, God has a plan. And I'm like, no cursing. But I didn't say something nice. And I was like, screw you. You have 2 legs. And my wife would say to me, Laura, you can't say that. And I'm like, screw you. You have 2 legs. My life was destroyed. Destroyed. So for the next, my accident was in 2000. I was 2 years and 6 months sober to the day when I had my accident. And let me tell you something. I will drive here another 2 hours and 45 minutes. I will go to the edge of the earth to pay back Alcoholics Anonymous, because what it has done for me is a miracle, So for many years, I laid in a hospital bed. I was either in a hospital or I was in a hospital bed in my living room for the first 2 years. I couldn't walk. I couldn't work. My wheelchair wouldn't even fit through the doors of my bathroom. I could do nothing. In AA, on Long Island, meetings are in church basements. So I can't get to a meeting. I couldn't do anything. But there was one thing I was able to do, and that was have meetings at my house. So I started doing big book studies at my house. So I'm telling you, I would be suicidal the entire day. I can't live like this anymore. Meanwhile, one leg is gone, and the other one, I'm literally turning screws with a wrench that you would use on a car to make bones grow. So I'm trying to save this leg. And I would not a good frame of mind, but it's 10 to 6, and at 6 o'clock people are coming. And I'd be like, brush my teeth, and, and for that hour, I would be like, I promise you, if you do what this program asks you, you will have an amazing life. I used to have an amazing life, like before this happened. And for years, I struggled with that, am I ever going to have an amazing life again? But you know what? It was, it was the next night at 6 o'clock, and another set of people were coming for a big book study. Or one of those people that came was now coming during the day, and I was taking them through the steps. And it was really my only reason to live. There was really no other joy. Everything else was gone. No working, it was gone. I couldn't care for myself. I had 24-hour living aids. I couldn't do anything. So the hardest part, really, of my physical recovery, since my accident, was really that, why did this happen? And everybody, like I said, God has a plan. God didn't bring you this far to drop you on your head. All of these things that people would say, and it would piss me off more and more and more and more and more. And if this was part of God's plan, then how do you go to God for help, right? And I seeked and was so hungry, I actually went to a seminary for 4 years to figure out, what is this God, right? And today, I always say that I hope my idea of God continues to change for the rest of my life. Because the God that I grew up with when I got sober didn't cut it. But then God became my best friend, right? Through going through the 12 steps and clearing that channel and getting rid of all that garbage. But then after my accident, that God was too small. I needed something bigger, right? I needed something greater. It was way too small. So I continue to seek every day. Today, I believe in this loving energy that is circulating the planets. It's also circulating my blood, growing my hair, and bringing us all together. And God's will is for us to love and care for one another. Period. The end. That's what it is. People say all the time, well, God willing, he'll get sober. Of course it's God's will for every one of us to get sober. What are you willing to do to get sober? Right? And when I say, it's about your will, I don't mean willpower, right? But what am I willing? I'm willing to drive 2.5 or 45 minutes, however long it took me to get here, because I want to give back to AA, because I will forever be grateful. So for the last 18 years, so my last surgery was only a year ago, November. So when I say that I have been in and out of a hospital for 18 years, almost 19, I'm not kidding. Trying to save my legs, and I eventually, I was a single amputee, and I amputated my second leg 12 years after my accident. Every time I had surgery, I had one prayer, and that prayer was, God, please send me women to help. And I would try to get to more meetings. I'm having surgery. I'm asking God for women to send so I can help. And good AAs, they're like, do you need help? Want me to take you to a meeting? I'll pick you up. I'm like, no, but have you had a spiritual awakening as a result of the steps? Because I'd love to take you through the big book. Because I'm not going to be walking for the next 6 months or 3 months or 8 months, however long it is. I'm not going to be walking. I'm not going to be driving. I'm not going to be getting out of my house and going to meetings. So I'm going to be sitting in my house. And I know that nothing in the world will heal me more than helping another alcoholic. Right? It fails when all other activities, no. It works when all other activities fail. That is my prayer. Please send me women to help, and men. So for the last 18 years, 3 to 5 days a week, I sit either in my home or now in my office, and I am reading the big book and taking people through the steps. And I truly, truly know, it's not even a belief, it's a knowing, that I am as spiritually fit as I am as happy and as peaceful as I am, because I am continually living in the solution. I am continually giving it away. I don't need to keep agreeing or remember or this, because I'm here, I'm reading, I'm talking about it, right? And the crazy thing is, I have found out that most people in Alcoholics Anonymous do not go through the steps. I just spoke at this women's conference. There were 400 or 500 women. And I shared, most people don't go through the steps. Every woman coming after me, I have 37 years, I've never been through the steps. I'm like, I know. I have 17 years, I have 47, I have 57, I have this many, I have that many. And the crazy thing is, I thought maybe this is just a Long Island thing. Maybe it's just a Long Island thing, right? This watered down, don't drink and go to meetings. If I could just not drink and go to meetings, I wouldn't need you people. I wouldn't need shades, steps, I wouldn't need a high power. I'd just not drink. Go along my merry way. But for me, once I stopped drinking, the noise got worse. My restless, irritable discontent got worse. And there was no release. Now I'm really in trouble. Now what do I do? So as I said, I used to be very self-conscious, and I would say, many people or a lot of people don't go through the steps. But I'm telling you, it has been my experience in the last 21 years, and when I say I've been reading 3 to 5 days a week with people, taking them through the steps for 18, 19 years, I'm not kidding. That's a lot of people. I read with a woman 2 years ago, got sober in 1976, first time going through the steps. She had 58 or 48 years at the time. So I thought maybe this is a Long Island thing. And then COVID happened. And now I'm going to meetings all over the country, all over the world. And nobody's talking about the solution. My experience, all we're talking about is a drunkalogue. And the insanity is the thinking before I pick up a drink. Anything after that is just drunken behavior. Anybody can get a DWI. If you get 5, you may have a problem, right? But anybody can fall down and drink so much they fall down and crack their head open. The insanity is before I pick up the drink, right? So, as I said, I thought maybe this is a Long Island problem. I don't know. But again, now I'm going to meetings all over the country and all over the world during COVID. And I see that I won't say everybody's restless, irritable, and discontent, even though I just said it. But not only that, you know what? We are dying from an illness. And it says, we are dying from an illness which only a spiritual experience will conquer. Step 12 says, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of the steps. And I know it sounds crazy, but if you went to a doctor because you had an infection, and the doctor said, this antibiotic will heal you and make the infection go away, but I want you to wait a year to take it. What would you say to the doctor? Right? Well, I want you to wait 60 days, or 90 days, or 3 months, or 6 months, or whatever. And most people don't go through the steps because they're told not to. You know what? When I came in, it was just wait till you feel a little better. Wait till you get your feet under you. I always joke, I had feet at the time. Just wait till you. But if the steps are what's going to make you feel better, why are we waiting? Why are we waiting? So, like I said, for the last 18 years, I have been sitting with men and women, taking them through the steps. And as I said before, I know that there's no way I could have, I'm going to say, I'm not surviving, I am thriving. I have an amazing life. My wife, if she was here, I'm happy every day. She finds it annoying. She will flat out say, yes, this is her, like, because, you can stand up here and sound good for an hour, and then I go home, I kick my cat. I don't have a cat, but you know what I mean? Like, how am I literally living every day? I get up at 5:30 in the morning. I cannot wait to get out of bed. I'm so excited to get out of bed. And the crazy thing is, what I really want to do is I want to go running in the woods like I used to do every morning. And I haven't done that in 18 years. But, AA has given me such an amazing way of life. And, you know how they talk about things becoming second nature? It's first nature. It's just how I think. And, I remember the first thing I said to my sponsor when I saw her after my accident was, I said to her, I can't wait for the day that I'm grateful that this happened, because I'll be able to help more people. Now, I'm going to say probably 16 years, I told that story, and I was like, it's gotten progressively more hopeful, but I would say, well, that was the drugs talking, the pain medicine, or, I'll never be grateful. I'll find acceptance. As the years went by, I'll find deeper levels of acceptance. Grateful, like maybe. And Mary Ann was doing a big book study, and we were in a different location, and we were reading. I'll try to think of what it says. Cling to the thought that in God's hands, the darkest past is the greatest possession you have. And like a blanket of warmth came over me, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm finally grateful. And I know that the legs that I was born with cannot help heal the world the way my prosthetic legs are. I would never in a million years know that, right? It's not a belief, it's a knowing. I would never know that if I didn't have this amazing design for living. And, I speak a lot, and people say to me, you're such an inspiration, you're such an inspiration, I'm not the inspiration. Because I don't have anything that you don't have except for legs. But I am not the inspiration. It's Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't say anything, my only original might be that, the legs I was born with can't help heal the world the way my prosthetic legs are. That's probably the only, and I'm sure there's someone else in the world that has said it. But that's the only original thing. But everything I do and how I live my life AA told me to do. I remember I've been writing a book, and I was writing today about the decision to amputate my second leg. And, my wife and the doctor and we cried when we made the decision, cried a little and hugged it out. And my wife said to me, come on, honey, I'll take you home. I said, no. A friend of ours was dying of cancer at Sloan Kettering. And I said, no, we had plans to go visit Paul. The man's dying. My instant thought was go help somebody else. Instantly. It wasn't even a thought. It was like, okay, but we had a plan to go visit Paul. Let's go cheer Paul up. And I am telling you, I repeat myself, but I know that I am who I am. I am the happiest and the most peaceful, and I have this great message because I am constantly giving it away. But here's the thing, can't give away something you don't have. The big book tells us that time and time again. And I work with a lot of people who, I'm not their sponsor, but their sponsor doesn't do it this way. Right, reading with somebody now, but her sponsor wanted her to take her through the steps in the Bible. Well, that's terrific. And I have a friend, we bicker and argue, it's banter, it's not argue. And he goes, 12 steps in the big book, he makes fun of, you're a recovered alcoholic, I'm like, whatever. And I'm sure there's many ways to go through the steps. But I'm an Alcoholics Anonymous. So I'm going to do it the way Alcoholics Anonymous recommends. And it is so simple. We complicate the crap out of it. But, here's the thing. When that woman said to me, when are you going to do step 4? When are you going to do step 4? I had no idea when I was supposed to do it. I was talking to a new sponsee today, and I asked her a couple of questions because she thinks she did step 4. She's not really sure. So I said, when you sit with somebody and they open their home and their heart, or wherever, car, wherever you do it, and you're going through this process, you know why you're doing it. You know when you're going to do it, and you know how you're going to do it. Because it is so simple. And I say to people, okay, so the first column, we're going to say who you resent. And you're going to write a list. When you go grocery shopping, you don't write a whole recipe. You just write onions, garlic, tomatoes, whatever. So you write a list. First column, who do you resent? Second column, the cause, what did they do? The third column, was it affect? We give them an example, very easy. Then they come back the next week and they're like, I downloaded these sheets from the internet. It asked me 687 questions. And I'm like, why? It is so simple. So I want to say, like, whether you're here 5 minutes or 50 years, if you have not had a spiritual awakening as a result of the steps, don't sell yourself short. Don't come here and suffer from untreated alcoholism, because there's a solution. I usually have props. I carry pom-poms because I am absolutely, I forgot it though. Marion usually whips it out of her back pocket. I'm an AA cheerleader because I have the best life, and things have happened. You know what I mean? Things have happened. But AA gives me a design for living that it doesn't matter if I lost my legs, because I'm going to make that the best part of my life. And if you pay attention to me a little bit more because I have no legs, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So please, don't sell yourself short. You know, if you don't leave a meeting and feel inspired, find a different meeting. You know, I was reading with somebody new, sober 18 years, has never been through the steps, and she goes to the same meeting all the time. I said, in 18 years, why'd you ask me? You have what I want. I said, in 18 years, you haven't found anybody who has what you want? She said, no. I said, go to a different meeting. AA is big. Right? I always try, if I'm going to find a meeting, I'm going to go to a big book meeting, because you have a better chance, not a guarantee, that they're actually talking about how do I recover from alcoholism. Again, as I said before, like, alcohol is not my problem. If alcohol was my problem, this is bad for me, put it down and go along my merry way. And I wouldn't need you people. But for me, I put alcohol down and I got worse. So I needed to have some kind of a solution. And like I said before, even if you open the AA app or the thing, there's 14 questions. Did you drink alone? I'm like, I live alone. Did you lose a job? No. Did you do this? All these questions to clarify if you're an alcoholic. The big book asks us very clear. It says, when you honestly, that's a hook, honestly want to, you find you cannot quit entirely. It's so funny, I had a sponsor ask me, does that mean like for the day, or does that mean like forever? I said, that's a really good question. So if when you honestly want to, you find you cannot quit entirely, or, it doesn't say and, it says or if when drinking, you have little control over the amount you take. If that be the case, you may be suffering from an illness which only a spiritual experience will conquer. Right? So, if when you honestly want to, you find you cannot quit entirely, that is the obsession. I did not want to drink, but I couldn't, as I said before, I was tortured by the obsession. I could not get it out of my head no matter what I did, and the only thing that stopped it was, drink. So it's not and, or if when drinking you have little control over the amount you take. That's the allergy, right? But as I said before, I pick up a drink because, number one, I'm suffering from untreated alcoholism. We don't drink because we're triggered or because this happened or have no legs or my mother died or, that's not why we drink. We drink because we suffer, I'll speak for myself. I drink because I suffer from untreated alcoholism. But as I said before, and really, I think if I say anything, the most important thing, people are dying every day, and we have a solution. So please, if you don't love Alcoholics Anonymous, if you haven't had a spiritual awakening as a result of the steps, I will help anybody in this room. Now we have Zoom, we could do it. And I told you, I spoke at that women's convention, 400 women, 500 women, whatever it was. So many women came up to me and said, can you take me through the steps? I'm going to say at least 100 women took my phone number, texted me. And this is what I was taught, when you go to a meeting and I meet somebody, I take their phone number and I call them. It is my responsibility to show you how this program works. Right? Some newcomer or even somebody who's not that new can't pick up the phone. They're full of fear. They don't, you know what I mean? It's my responsibility to call you, just show you how this program works. But I said to these women, there's 100 of you. I can't keep this straight. You're going to have to call me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, 100 people. How am I ever going to work with all these people? What am I, out of my mind? Guess how many people called me?
None.
2 people. Guess how many I'm reading with? 1. And in the beginning, if I read with 10 people, 1 would go through. And I thought, maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe I don't have what my sponsor has. When she told me, all right, we're done, go read with someone else, I'm like, I can't do that. I am 2 minutes sober. I have no idea what to say or what to do. I have no clue. And I said, what if I mess them up? She said to me, honey, you're not that powerful. You don't know who I know. I can't get you drunk. I can't get you sober. I can show you how to have a wonderful life, how to have a spiritual awakening. But that's between you and your high power. But I really thought, maybe I'm not good at this. And I have to say, I do feel. So I got sober in 2005. I had my spiritual awakening in 2006. I've been rocketed into the 4th dimension. And you know what? That 4th dimension, what does that mean? That 4th dimension is me saying to my sponsor, I can't wait for the day I'm grateful that this happened, because I'll be able to help more people. That to me is living in the 4th dimension. And like I said, people say, oh, you're so inspirational. I am not the inspiration. It's the design for living that solves all your problems. My legs are never growing back. No, they're not. I'm never going to be a ballroom dancer again. I'm not running marathons. But I have this peace and serenity and purpose. Sometimes I feel bad for people who are not in AA. Because I can get up and I can help as many people as I want. I got 900 people in my phone. I can call any one of them, even if I haven't seen them in 10 years, and say, you know what? And I do. Sometimes I get a little whatever. I suddenly go through my phone and I call people. I haven't seen you. I haven't heard from you in years. How you doing? Right? I feel I have a purpose. I feel bad for people that don't have a purpose. It is amazing. And talking in circles. So I have a purpose today. And my purpose is to help you recover. That's my purpose. And please, I beg of you, don't suffer. There's a solution. If you're not, I can't do it. If you're not kicking your heels, don't sell yourself short. And I heard someone say one time, why would you join a 12-step group and not do the 12 steps? Because I was told not to. Wait a little while, wait till you feel better. You don't have step 3, so you can't move on to step 4. And I have been saying, who even cares about step 3? That literally my mantra the last, I'm going to say 5 years has been, who cares about step 3? Let's just move on to step 4, because it tells us, though our decision was vital, which means necessary for life, it could have little, and what decision? The decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand God. It's going to have little permanent effect, because I do not drink one day at a time. That problem's been gone. Alcohol has no power. I am in a place of neutrality, right? That's the miracle. So permanent effect, unless at once, which means now, followed by a strenuous effort to face and to be rid of the things in ourselves which have been blocking us. Our liquor was but a symptom. So we have to get down to the causes and conditions. This is step 4. So of course I couldn't feel God's peace or figure out what God was, because I was full of anger. And I hated you, you're smiling, I hate you, I hate my mother, I hate my boss. So if I'm all jammed up, I call it jammed up, of course I can't. Who cares about God? You know what I mean? And it's so great, because even in step 5, it says something like, we used to have certain spiritual beliefs, but now we begin to have a spiritual experience. I don't care if you can't explain God. I just want you to feel something, right? Feel a little bit of peace. Feel a little bit of love. Feel a little bit of, how can, I see this person, how can I help them? That's so much more important than the idea of what, how you could, my little brain is too small for the energy that's circulating the planets, right? And I can either let my little pea brain run my life or the energy that's circulating the planets. I mean, this is my choice, right? Which is crazy. So anyway, I'm starting to repeat myself, so it's time to wrap it up. So most importantly, please don't suffer. And you don't ever have to want to drink again. You don't ever have to drink again. And I don't care, no matter what's going on in your life. I've been through, losing your legs is a big deal. I wake up and it's not like, oh, that happened to me 20 years ago and whatever. I wake up every day and I scooch myself into a wheelchair, right? What I want to do is put on my sneakers and run 10 miles in the woods. It's not happening. So, and it says, right, I always say I feel like I should be the poster child for the line that says, and I'm paraphrasing, you can get and stay sober regardless of your present circumstances. So, and if I haven't had the problem, I know somebody who has, and I could call one of my support people, and they can, I can pass it on to them. So no matter who you are, no matter where you've been, no matter what you're going through, please don't stay in Alcoholics Anonymous and suffer, because there is a solution. And it is an amazing way of life. I remember the first time I heard this guy, hi, my name is Jim, and I'm a grateful alcoholic. I wanted to hit him. And I called him all sorts of names under my breath, of course. And I'm thinking, what on earth is this? What is wrong with him? Grateful alcoholic? But I will tell you, all the money in the world, my legs back, whatever it is, I would never give up being an alcoholic. It's the best part of my life. Because again, I have a design for living that has solved all my problems. So please, don't suffer. If you don't love Alcoholics Anonymous, or if you hate me or don't like me because I'm happy, please let me show you how I became happy. Let me show you what the program asks you to do. And as I said before, there's always a hook. There's always a hook. Always a hook, right? You can be great and happy and have a wonderful life, whoop, but there's some stuff you got to do. And, this whole idea of, if you don't get the program, it'll get you. Really? Then why are we dying? Why are we dying? And I know that sounds dramatic, but it is totally accurate. And again, if you went to a doctor and he said, this will make you better, but I want you to wait a year to take it. And meanwhile, the infection is spreading, right? As I said, when I put down the drink, I got worse. I didn't get better. And I thought to myself, if this is what sobriety is, I don't really want it, right? But I knew I could never safely drink again. That was without a doubt. So anyway, all I'm saying is, please don't wait. And I always say, like, I picked my sponsor because she was glowing. And she said that she loved AA, and she loved God, and that joy was her motivator. I'm like, wait a minute. Everyone says that pain is their motivator. But her motivator is joy. I want what she has. So find somebody who's glowing. I would help anybody in this room. Don't wait. Don't sell yourself short. Don't suffer. There's absolutely no need. If you're relapsing, ask yourself the question, have I been fearless and thorough? Have I actually done all 12 steps? Usually I'm going to say, and my experience and the people that I've been working with, and I've been working with a lot of people, the answer is no. Or, they've done all of them, but I don't sponsor, right? That's that, I always say, like, you don't want me to be the treasurer. I'm dyslexic. I'm not a treasurer. I'll greet, I'll speak, I'll do a big book study or whatever, but no treasurer. But nobody's excluded from sponsorship. You want to fall in love with the program? Open that big book and read it to somebody. You want to be motivated, inspired? Oh my God. Like, I read it, I'm like, wait a minute, did they just put that word in there? Like, it says 2 wives. I've been saying for years, to the wives. It doesn't say to the wives, it says 2 wives. I'm like, did they change that? It is amazing. And I've been reading it 5 days a week for 20 years. That's a lot, with a lot of people. And then meetings, and you know what I mean? I'm repeating myself. Thank you so much for being here. Please don't suffer. That is, please don't suffer. Because we have a solution. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian. I'm an alcoholic. I've been informed I'm not allowed to say go birds anymore. But first and foremost, I want to thank our speaker, Laura, for coming out here tonight, delivering an incredible message of hope and recovery to our group here. As always, we have food and fellowship for this group starting every week at 8 o'clock, so feel free to get here early, join us, enjoy the hot dogs, the coffee we put out. I want to thank Dom for bringing the pizzas tonight, very generous. Thank you very much for that, Dom. Appreciate it. And if you want to help us with some cleanup after the meeting, we're going to have to put some chairs away. Most importantly, if you're new or if you're struggling, grab one of us after the meeting. There'll be a whole group of us breaking down the meeting. And as Ron mentioned, if you want to get involved in service, we got service positions available. We do a treatment center commitment if you'd be interested in coming out for doing that. But I want to thank everybody for helping out with the meeting tonight, our greeters, our readers, and let's thank our speaker, Laura, one more time. If you do care to join us, we have a beautiful way of closing down the meeting. We're just going to stand in place since it's pretty tight here, but we will close down, as always, with our Lord's Prayer. And we'll close down with a brief moment of silence for the still sick and suffering alcoholic inside and outside of these rooms, followed by our Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. It's worth it.